Hello guys! So today I'm going to be teaching you about text structures. You probably have heard about text structures before, but in case you haven't, let's kind of review what a text structure is. When an author writes a text or writes a story, especially informational text, they have to make sure that their text is structurally sound. What does structurally sound mean? Well, it means when they are organizing their text, they have a certain purpose, okay? They may be trying to tell you how something is alike and different. They may be trying to explain to you what happened and why it happened. They might be trying to explain events in a timeline in certain order. Whatever their purpose is, they have to structure their text to where they can get their information across to their reader in the best way. Structurally sound means that it can make sense, it flows in a good order, and it stays sound. So, for example, everybody has heard about the story of the Three Little Pigs. In the Three Little Pigs, there's three different pigs, and they all build different houses. The first house that one of the pigs builds is made out of what? Straw. Okay, so he built his little house. He's so happy because it takes him like 5 minutes, and he has a little house, and it's built out of straw. What happens to that house as soon as a big bad wolf comes and blows? It falls down. So, a straw house is not structurally sound. Just like if I was trying to tell you how things were alike and different, it might not be a good idea for me to tell you all of the events in history of one war, and then all of the events in history of another war, and just give them all to you, but I never talk about how they are alike and different. I'm not going to get my point across. It's not going to be structurally sound. When an author is writing a story, they have to pick a text structure that makes the most sense for what they're writing. Sometimes an informational text, when you're first writing it, you kind of have an idea of your purpose. Okay, it's kind of like that house made out of sticks in the Three Little Pigs. The sticks weren't a bad idea. It wasn't set up bad, but it wasn't great either, because what happened when the wolf came and blew? It still fell over. It was not structurally sound. So when a text is structurally sound, that means that everything makes sense. It's in an order that makes sense, and it's organized. Organizational pattern is in a way that gets their purpose across. So just like the pig that made the house out of bricks, he took the time, he put in the effort, and he made a strong, sturdy house out of bricks, and it stayed standing. When an author writes an informational text, they have to pick a text structure that's going to make sense with their purpose to make their text structurally sound. So there are five main types of text structures that we will see in informational text. Today I'm going to teach you what those 5 different ones are. What are some transition words that help us identify what text structure has been used? And the purpose, why an author would choose that text structure, and also a graphic organizer that can help me organize the information that I find in an informational text. So there's quite a bit that we're going to be going over, okay? So just stay focused. Make sure you're taking notes. If you need to pause the video and catch up on notes, pause the video, replay parts of it, do whatever you need to do to make sure you understand the 5 main types of text structure. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first main type that we're going to talk about that an author might use is compare and contrast. Okay, so right here I'm going to write down my first text structure. Compare, comparison, and contrast. So this is when the purpose of using compare and contrast is to describe how things are alike and how they are different. Okay, so I'm going to write the purpose there. If an author is trying to describe to me how things are alike and different, they're probably going to set up their text with compare and contrast. The marker's not working very well. The purpose, describe how things are alike and different. For example, if I'm writing an informational text about the similarities and differences between alligators and crocodiles, I'm probably going to use compare and contrast to set up my informational text. That would make it very structurally sound. The reader would be able to easily see the things that are similar between crocodiles and alligators and the things that are different. And I would be able to fulfill my purpose of describing how things are alike and different. If I was trying to tell the reader how alligators are alike and different, it would make sense to use compare and contrast. Okay? Some words, some transition words you can look for that kind of clue us in that the author is comparing and contrasting things are the words but or both. Both the alligator and the crocodile have rough skin, both, or and the crocodile and the alligator have sharp teeth. Okay, those are some of the transition words that we can look for to let us know that it is indeed compare and contrast. You guys have seen it before. This right here is called a Venn diagram. When you're comparing and contrasting two things, you're going to see how things are different from another here and how they are alike here in the middle. Okay, so that is the text structure, compare and contrast. The next text structure that an author might use is cause and effect. I'm going to put a little line right here to try to keep me organized. Y'all can see this is not perfect. This is just note taking so that you understand what these structures are. It doesn't have to be perfect. The next text structure that I'm going to talk about today is cause and effect. Especially in informational text, an author will use this when they need to explain what happened and why it happened. For example, there was a hurricane, Hurricane Laura. If I was writing an informational text about Hurricane Laura, I might use cause and effect. I might talk about the cause of what made the hurricane build up in the Gulf and the effect it had on people having to leave their homes and trees being blown down and signs being blown down. Cause and effect, the purpose is just to explain what happened and why it happened. So I'm going to write my purpose now. Explain what happened and why it happened. Every time an author writes an informational text, they get to choose what text structure they want to get their purpose across, to really explain what they are trying to explain to the reader. Some transition words you might see whenever you know an author is using cause and effect are these words like because or so or as a result of. Those are words that kind of clue us in. I'm going to put transition words. Those are words that clue us in that our author is using cause and effect. As a result, because of, or because, so, the wind blew so hard that, well, the wind was blowing so hard, so trees were knocked down. Or as a result of the strong winds, the light pole fell down, okay? Those are some words that help us know that it's cause and effect. Okay, one thing, cause, effect. There's one thing that happens and it causes another thing to happen. Okay, cause and effect. So the graphic organizer for this, you can just draw a little box. This is our cause and it led to the effect. Because I did not drink enough water today, I felt very thirsty whenever I got home. Cause and effect. You're doing great. So there's two main text structures that we've already talked about: compare and contrast, describing how things are alike and different; cause and effect, explaining what happened and why it happened. Okay, those are two main text structures authors use in an informational text in order to give you information. Another text structure that we see a lot in history books or especially social studies, but when you're reading about a specific event and how it happened, like the I Survived books, those are actually historical fiction, so they're based on true events. They're not informational, but they still use the same text structure, and that is sequence or chronological order. Okay, sequence, and move over here, or chronological order. Sequence, the order that it happened. Chronological. Has anyone ever heard of chronological order before? The root word is chrono, which means time. So chronological order means time order, the time order that it happened. Okay, chronological order. The purpose of this is to explain the events in order, okay? Like a war, if you need to explain what happened first, what happened next, what happened last. The purpose is just to explain the events in order. Explain the events in order. Okay, that's the purpose, explaining the events in order. Some words that you might see, you may have heard me just say them, those transition words that help us know that an author is using chronological order or sequence are first, then, next, last. Those words clue me in that they are telling me in sequence or the order that it happened. First, then, next, last. Okay, you guys should be able to identify that one pretty easily, okay? A type of text that uses sequence is like a how-to or a recipe, okay? If I'm telling you how to make spaghetti, might say first, put water in a pot, then put the pot on the burner. Next, turn the burner on. After that, put a little salt in there, a little olive oil. Let your water get hot. Let it boil. Next, first, then I'm going in order, sequencing out the events that need to happen in order to make spaghetti. Don't try that at home. I just said random order. Okay, guys, you are doing great. So that's already three text structures that you know now, or that you've reviewed now, that an author might use for an informational text. So we have 2 more left, okay? All of these are pretty self-explanatory if you really just take the time and think through them. The next one is problem solution. I'm going to put it right here. Problem solution. An author is going to use this when there's a problem and they want to tell you how it was solved. Okay, problem solution, to show a problem and how it was solved. Purpose, to show a problem and how it was solved. Now, this is different from cause and effect because cause and effect just tells you, explains what happened and why it happened. Problem solution tells you this is a problem that we were having or that this place was having, and then this is how they solved it. Okay, it gives you the problem, but it also gives you the solution. Some words that you can look for that kind of clue you in that it is problem solution. Let me tilt my screen down. I know my face is a little cut off, but it's okay. So some words that will clue you in are words like problem, solution, the answer is, this was the difficulty, and this is how we fixed it. Okay, so those are some of the words. Problem, solution, difficulty. I know this is very hard to read, guys, and I am going to post the anchor chart. So if you're missing some of the notes, don't worry about it. Just write down as much as you can. And I'll post the anchor chart, a picture of this anchor chart, and another one to where you can fill in any notes that you missed. So don't stress. I just realized that I did not put a graphic organizer for a sequence. A way to organize it is literally make a list. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. These are the events that happened, okay? So I'm going to go back and add that over here. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. Literally the events go in time order or sequence, okay? And then for problem solution, you got a problem, and it leads to your solution. When you're reading, if it tells you about something that went wrong, here's my problem, and then it tells you about the way they fixed it, the author probably chose to set up in problem solution so that he could describe to you a problem and how it was fixed. That was the author, he or she, that was the author's purpose. Okay? We already got 4. You're doing awesome. There's only one more type of text structure that we see very often in informational text, and that text structure is a description, okay? Sometimes the author's purpose is just to describe to you a certain person, or describe to you a topic, or describe to you an idea. They aren't trying to compare it to anything else. They're not using compare and contrast. They're not telling you why it happened and what it caused or what the cause and effect was. They're not trying to tell you all the events in order. They're not giving you a problem solution. They're just straight up describing something to you, and they want to give you all the information on that topic. And that is called a description. Okay? Pretty simple. Description is our last one. Description. Description. The purpose, describe a topic. Okay? Describe a topic by giving information. Describe a topic or person by giving information. For example, if I was writing an informational text about pandas, I'd probably just use description, and I would describe everything that I know about pandas. I would tell you about their habitat. I would tell you about their what they eat. I would tell you about their sleeping patterns. I would tell you about their babies. I would tell you about everything I know about that topic, and I would be giving you a description, okay? Some words that you might see when you know an author is describing or using description are like example. Okay, they might say such as. Ooh, I spelled that wrong. They may say characteristics and just describe them all out. Characteristics. I'll post this where y'all can read it. I know it's kind of messy. Okay, those are different things. And whenever you know that an author has used description, the graphic organizer you can use to collect all of that information is this web like this. Basically, you put whatever the topic is in the middle, and then you can put all the info that you learn out on all of these little spider legs. Like I said, if I was teaching you about pandas and you were reading an informational text about pandas, then you probably could put its sleeping pattern, its children, its food, its habitat, all those things out on those little legs to describe it. So that's it, guys. And when author writes an informational text, it has to be structurally sound, which means it has to be set up in a way, organized in a way that makes sense to the reader to get their purpose across, okay? Depending on what their purpose is, what they're trying to teach you, is how they will choose the way that they structure their text. That's it. So continue watching the rest of the PowerPoint. It's going to give you an example of every single one of these, and you practice identifying what text structure is being used. First, make sure you have your notes all written down. I'm going to post a picture of this anchor chart. I'm going to post another anchor chart with all of the info and use it, okay? There's another one in the PowerPoint. Use it to help you identify the text structures. You guys are doing awesome. I'm so proud of you. If you need anything, if you feel confused, if you just want to get on Google Meets with me during my conference hours and I can just explain it a little more, I am here to help you guys. So just let me know whatever you need. Keep working hard. I'm proud of you.